This is Patrick Plywood McNeil, your favorite Vape Lord skid, and you're listening to the toughest podcast in Letterkenny.
Tiara. Yeah. How are you now?
Good, and you?
Oh, not so bad. Season 7 still?
Yeah.
Staying sane still?
Mostly. Day 19 of quarantine.
Yeah. And just real quick, we hope everyone is staying safe and staying the fuck home.
Please stay the fuck home.
It's we don't need anybody else getting sick, and because we don't know what's about to happen with the decision about trying to start the economy again so early. So
do not listen to the Muppet in Chief, please. Like, I don't know how to ask this any other way other than, like, nurse friends of mine are getting sick.
Yeah.
This is, I don't know if it's this serious where you are, but it's this serious out here. And if you guys don't listen, it's gonna get even worse where you are. Like, I was talking to someone the other day. I was like, oh, well, we're just going to start working from home come Monday. And this was like Thursday. Yeah. And I was like, I've been home for almost 3 weeks. Like, why is this not more important to people in other parts of the country? I don't understand it.
I think, we are who we are these days, and everybody's getting stir crazy. And, I mean, it's fucked up. So, I mean, what else can we do right now?
Well, your sanity is not worth all of the people that you could potentially kill.
No, yeah, exactly. So. I mean, it's just, I think people aren't understanding. So,
well, because our president keeps saying that it's not a big deal and that there's going to be a miracle.
Well, it's not only that. I think it's because they'll say it's not a big deal and then come back and say it's a big deal. And so I think people get confused. So. It's like how NPR isn't broadcasting his press conferences live anymore.
Hardly any of the news stations in Seattle are live broadcasting Trump anymore because they don't believe he's going to tell the truth.
Yeah. Anyway,
it's fucking crazy.
Let's just say
no more politics.
Let's just say everybody stay safe.
Yes, please.
Please stay at home and wash your fucking hands. That's it.
Listen to podcasts.
That's why we're here.
Support the arts. Like, this is the time when you can support the arts. I'm not just talking about us and podcasts in general, but like, get that streaming service that you've been debating forever, or share your streaming service passwords with your friends so you can all enjoy it. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not a teacher with 7 different people providing stuff that I watch in my classroom.
Yeah, I mean, but yes, and artists are, really hard hit right now because they are contractors, basically. I mean, they are not employed by anyone. So
tattoo artists too. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Like, they are legally not allowed to do their work from home. So
now here's things to keep in mind about those things. Lots of tattoo shops sell gift certificates.
Absolutely.
So if you go buy a gift certificate and plan your tattoo for later, then
you're helping them now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and there's lots of artists, you can buy their art online. So
or commission work from them.
Exactly.
If you want something specific that you were hoping to talk to them about at Comic-Con, now is a great chance to reach out and say, hey, this is what I was hoping for. Do you think you could do it?
Yeah.
Also, we know that people are doing that.
Musicians, many of your independent musicians are on Bandcamp, so
yes,
go find those folks that you go listen to. That they're show openers basically. On a Tuesday night, go find them on Bandcamp and buy something for them.
Yeah.
And then you got podcasts like us. We got Patreons, so you can go to our Patreon. Patreon.com/howareyounowpod, and throw in $1.
Depending on how long all of this lasts, we're gonna keep talking about Letterkenny until we run out of episodes, and then if we run out of episodes, we'll pick one of the thousands of things we've been talking about doing and maybe start doing that.
We're gonna get some interviews and all that kind of stuff.
We do have a couple interviews
coming. We'll keeping it live. So, we finally got a cosplay contest entry, one, which we'll go into since this comes out in April, so that will go into April.
Okay.
So if we get some more folks in the cosplay contest, we'd like to give you a shirt or some stickers or something.
Yeah. Most of the world is going on shelter in place. Do a closet cosplay. Exactly. See what you have that can make it kind of appear like that character and send us a picture.
Listen. The characters in Letterkenny are not difficult to cosplay,
right?
I mean,
you have a white T-shirt and jeans. You're McMurray.
You have a plaid shirt and jeans.
you got what are they? Coveralls. You got some coveralls.
Yeah,
you got a dairy right there.
You got a crop top and short shorts. There you go. Figured out. So, how are you now? Pod/cosplay. We'll give you all our rules. Also, independent bands. We want to work with you guys and get your music out there to have people listen to. So, if you guys are looking to have your music shared, and we will definitely give you a shout out and all your information about where to give your contacts. Just send us an email at host@howareyouNowPod.com. Also, you folks out there who just looking to give a shout out to somebody else, or you have thoughts, theories, questions about a show, you have questions for us, or you just want to, say some kind words about folks, you can dial us at 304-50-FERDA. And
by the way, I didn't get any dad jokes last week.
Oh, you didn't?
Why didn't people call and give me dad jokes? I need dad jokes.
You can't count on folks these days.
Keep me sane. Please keep me sane. If I'm laughing, I'm doing okay.
Yeah. So, and like I said, we, our independent bands we're always working with, our today's band is Finding Freedom.
Yeah.
We played them before, and they are some great folks. They're out of, where did I say? They're out of South Carolina. So yeah. Good folks. And then right now we have a guest who we've had on. I think this will be our most time guest.
I believe so. Although I think Renee is fighting for that. Yeah. They're going back and forth.
It's like the Chevy Chase Steve Martin thing of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
So awesome. How are you now?
Good, and you?
Oh, not so bad. Yes,
I want it known that in this contest, I'm Steve Martin because fuck Chevy Chase. All right.
I agreed, but yes. Maybe it's I don't know who else has been on Saturday Night Live more. I know those two were in the. It was originally the five time club, but I know it's been more than that now.
Let me do my Google too.
I stopped keeping track in the early aughts.
Yeah, I remember they did the bit about the five timer club and where they had like their own special dressing room and everything. Well, you found something, TR?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to get exact numbers. So.
Well, give us a couple of names anyway.
Alec Baldwin.
Oh yeah.
Steve Martin has hosted 15 times now. But Alec Baldwin has hosted 17 times for Alec Baldwin, 15 for Steve Martin. I think Chevy Chase is going to be the next one, but for some reason it's not.
Nah. Anyway, so yeah, lots of times. So awesome. How you been? What you been? I know you're having your mimosa day today.
I am. It's brunch day all day. Happy fun day Sunday.
John.
I was wrong. John Goodman is 13 times.
Wow.
And then Buck Henry at 10.
Okay.
Tom Hanks at 9. Chevy Chase is at 8.
Oh,
Chevy Chase is number 6 on the list.
Much respect to Tom Hanks.
Walken, yeah.
Right, Walken at 7. Drew Barrymore. Yeah,
Crazy.
all of them are above 5. But Alec Baldwin, it would be Alec Baldwin and Steve Martin between you two.
All right, then. There you go.
I'm sticking with Steve.
All right.
So, so also, Awesome and I, as you know, are mods on the Letterkenny subreddit, and we just had a pretty awesome AMA this week.
We sure did. We had the hockey babes on.
That's right.
So cool.
Jess Salguero and Kelly McCormick. And they were so nice.
It was so fun.
Yeah, it was lots of fun. It was cute. And Kelly McCormick has agreed. I think Awesome asked her if she would be on the podcast. And what did she say?
She said abso-fucking-lutely. All one word in italics.
That's my favorite word.
Yeah, abso-fucking-lutely.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
So I just need to find a way to get in contact with her. Maybe I know. Awesome. I think you've got emails for folks or something. Maybe.
Yeah, I can reach out.
Yeah, totally. So you got anything to plug before we start jumping into Letterkenny stuff?
Oh no, not really. Like just the usual. Like, please check out the subreddit. Please check out our Discord server. All that.
Yeah. Oh, and you're a librarian. How can folks still get find reading material while they can't go to a library?
Okay, so a lot of libraries offer electronic services, so you can check out ebooks through them through, say, Overdrive or Libby, and a lot of libraries also offer a subscription to something called Hoopla, which is a streaming service. So you can borrow music, movies, and TV.
Nice.
And it's all for free. You're already paying for it with your tax dollars. Support your local library.
Exactly.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah. And that's where you told me to find 19.2.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, we get to watch something.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I have been watching so many bucket list things lately. It's weird. I haven't watched TV in so long, and now I'm watching everything.
Trigger warning for 19.2.
Yeah.
It's very violent, and specifically, there is a lot of violence committed against women.
Okay.
But that being said, it is a great vehicle for Jared Kizo's acting chops, and if you watch it, you will need tissues.
Okay.
All right.
Well, tissues for what reason?
Hey, that is personal. That is personal.
For whatever mucus membranes
not
are
true,
leaking.
and a good idea.
That is personal.
You fucker, I almost spit taped with my mimosa.
So while we're at it, let's talk about last week's episode, Nut. So we had, as we said earlier, we had our
white boy.
White boy, goddamn.
White boy, goddamn. I have been saying goddamn all around the house all week. I think that's going to be a new thing that never leaves my vocabulary. Goddamn.
So we had our buddy.
Okay, no, we need a new bumper for the podcast.
Yeah.
Goddamn, white boy.
Goddamn.
Give me that nut.
Nut fight Ferda.
Give me that black coffee nut.
So anyway, we talked about. So last week was Nut with our buddy Renee, and basically it's this,
Porn.
It's about everybody's viewing habits for porn.
Well, and also it's a to each their own episode,
exactly.
Reminding you that, mind your own fucking business, because everybody's got their own life, and it's okay.
Exactly. And I think so far a lot of this, I'll bring this up at the end as well, but the season has been a lot of this, because like you pointed out at the very beginning, this is the first season that it's been a Hulu original, unquote.
Still no smoking.
So yeah, but I think this is kind of this is who we are. This is what we've been about.
Some old,
right?
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Like the further we get into this season, it feels more like we've done this before, but we're going to do it in a new vein, just because we know that there's some new people out there that probably aren't starting on season 1, episode 1. Right. So
exactly, and I think that's that's probably what upset a lot of the folks who've been watching a while.
Yeah.
So
I mean, when this season first came out, I was a little upset. I was like, ugh.
It's not, and it's not that it's bad at all.
No, it's just different.
It's so they did. It was a little curveball, but that's okay.
Yeah, but I like it now. I'm not saying that.
No.
Like, on the rewatch with more context and more understanding of kind of how the business end works, because we've had a lot of conversations about a lot of things Letterkenny since this season came out, and we actually are recording this episode. Yeah, and like we've learned a lot of things and changed our opinions. So Nut was kind of like a rehashing in a way of what was the episode? God damn it! Awesome hot tub. Which one?
The hot tub.
No. Wait, that's Letterkenny Leave. I'm talking about the one where. It's is that
the porno noises?
No, it's the one where the 100 shots of beer.
Oh.
Century Club. That's
Okay.
Different Strokes for Different Folks.
Right.
Series
Different Strokes
6,
for Different-
episode 5.
Right. So
That
that's
was
what
what I
I'm
was
saying.
talking
Yeah. That's what I was trying to get to is that this is just kind of a rehashing of the idea of
Yeah.
different strokes for different folks, and that, everybody has their own thing and it doesn't need to be brought up in front of everybody necessarily. And then you can't judge people for what they like. So that's, I think that's kind of what Nut was in a way.
I get that one.
So
Yeah,
you think,
yeah.
okay. So then we get into this episode, episode 4, Letterkenny versus Penny. And we start off in the kitchen, as we often do. The Hicks are all sitting around the table. Katie walks up and asks them why they're not cracking an egg this week. And Wayne explains that there's some nutsacks up there trying to remake Wayne's World. And then there's a little bit of discussion about that. Then Dan asks if anybody's seen the remake of Hawaii Five-0. Katie says Hawaii Five no. And then and then Derry pops in and his reaction was, Hawaii Five, oh, look what else is on. So they all commiserate about all these remakes or reboots that they should just be left alone. However, Derry thinks that Who's the Boss should be remade because that was one of the best shows, and they all love that show. Then the whole conversation leads them into doing their Tony Danza impressions, which then leads which then leads Dan into doing his Christopher Walken impersonation.
I wanted to know what it would be like to be a crocodile.
Attaboy.
So Wayne was very
I watch up my ass.
I carried this uncomfortable hunk of metal up my ass for 3 years.
Oh my God.
So then Dan says, though, that if you're going to do a remake, you have to shake up things a little bit. You can't just throw in this new actors to play the same old parts.
Could Summit Mount, what's your point? Anytime now.
Here's my elevator's pitch. Now, we've established everyone loves Who's the Boss.
We have.
Everyone also loves Doctor Who's.
It's true, they do.
So why not take 2 tried and true ideas and make one new one? Doctor Who's the Boss.
Now, see, I'd watch that.
That's a 1-inch putt.
Yeah, that's a twofer.
That's a tap-ins.
That's a tap-in for Eagle.
That's an empty netter.
That's a mashups, if you will.
A layup, if you will.
Doctor Who's the Boss. Now that's a show.
Samantha, the universe, it's a vast and ridiculous place. Full of lots of unexplained things that we call miracles. Now go get Jonathan, because dinner's almost ready.
Oh, wait, yo.
Oh, wait, yo, hey, oh, hey.
So, can I just point out that Hicks definitely watched Doctor Who?
Oh, yeah.
Like, do not at me about this.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, they all agreed. I mean, Dan, especially knows the premise of Doctor Who.
Right.
So
Yeah, I mean, he's got it pretty spot on.
yeah. So Dan explains the premise to Derry that you can't just throw 2 shows together. That the second one has to begin with the last word of the first show. So they had Roseanne of Green Gables, Modern Family Feud or Modern Family Matters, because Wayne is an Urkel fan, including a Stefan
Urkel,
fan.
which, Dean never watched Family Matters, but I grew up as a black girl in the 90s, and that was like the greatest comedy because it was the only real comedy besides, anything Cosby.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, if you're too old or too young to know that reference, Steve Urkel was the annoying next door neighbor who was like this brilliant scientist. Yes, exactly. This brilliant scientist. And somewhere along the line, and many seasons into it, I guess they were getting bored. And Steven.
It was a jump the shark.
It was a jump the shark and became like the rest of the series, basically. He made a potion that turned him into a very smooth talking, cool guy named Stefan Urkel. So yeah, that was what that was.
So yeah, then there was Happy Days of Our Lives, the dating Game of Thrones,
was a great
Full
one.
House Hunters International, et cetera, et cetera. I mean,
I like Orphan is the New Black.
Orphan is the New
That
Black
made
was
me
really
happy.
good. South Parks and Recreation, Sesame Street Legal.
Beverly Hillbillies
I watched that.
90210.
I would watch that.
Perfect Stranger Things. I
Yes,
would watch that.
Totally.
I
And
would
then,
definitely watch that.
and then,
Alky.
don't be ridiculous. Derry says he's got a good one.
The Golden Gilmore Gossip Girls.
Oh, wait, yo.
Yeah?
Yeah.
On figure skating terms, you just landed a Brownings. That's a trifecta. That's like the good doctor. Whose line is it anyways?
So Katie then suggests that if you're going to do a remake of Who's the Boss, Bruce Springsteen has to be the boss.
Hey,
and they all hey, born in the USA, So then we cut back to the kitchen a little later. A little scoring with some spaghetti western music. Katie's standing in the kitchen, dipping her tea bag in her tea slowly and very purposefully. Wayne is side eyeballing her while for some reason playing with the door jam. I guess that's a little. He's like playing with the door jam.
Stimming.
Yeah, stimming.
He's just pouting over there. Is what he's doing. He's just pouting.
But the thing that he's doing is that's like right now I have a pen in my hand in my pocket.
Oh, yeah, no, he's fidgeting. He's fidgeting. That's nervous energy.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then so he's playing with the door jam. Dan and Derry walk in with this serious looks on their faces, and the music scratches to a halt, and
Welcome to this year's Sister versus Brother fundraising challenge in supports of Don Cherry's Pets Rescues Foundations.
So Wayne was expecting to come up with a better one. The only one, and Derry said the only word that rhymed with sibling was nibbling, and that kind of got real awkward real fast. Yeah. So anyway, they couldn't really come up with a better one. So it's explained that every year Wayne and Katie challenge each other to a certain type of competition, to have one of them win the most money for their particular challenge for bragging rights for Don Cherry's Pet Rescue. Katie is not lost in 5 years, and all the different events that they've done. So Katie then asked what the challenge was this year.
Letterkenny versus Penny, and the rules are quite simple. Whoever can fill the most paint cans with pennies wins.
Technically, the Aminals wins because every cent goes to them. But, one of you gets bragging rights.
And the loser has to roll every single cent.
Oh, butter.
Oh, bother.
Shotguns start at noon, paint cans loaded by midnight, and if all goes according to plan, Dan and I will be loaded by mid-aft.
Derry and I are on the night shift, much like the Commodores. We'll be counting every red cent until the sun rises.
So they basically Wayne, at the end of all that, Wayne and Katie sarcastically wish each other good luck. Then we cut to Modine's, and Katie shows up and knocks on the door because they're closed. Gail comes out to greet her, and Katie explains that she was looking for some help with the competition, and they shake on it. And we'll talk about that at the end because there's something specific that goes on there.
Yes.
So then back at the kitchen table, Derry is getting on Wayne for giving Katie such a head start. Wayne says that he's just basically stating the obvious, and they have the obvious awards that they go through. And Derry asked him what his plan is, and he said they need to have a brainstorming session, so they start on that. Derry and Dan give their ideas. He shoots them down, and Dan says, "It looks like you've got a plan."
I got a plan, good buddy. Want to know what the plan is, good buddy? Here's the plan is, good buddy. I can tell you what the plan is, good buddy. Door to door, less is more.
So from that, Dan and Derry, not too sure about that, but Wayne says he thinks it'll be fine because he can find a way to add urgency to the situation, as well as work on his banter, his town banter. So
that was interesting.
So they all agree. Then cut back to Modine's again. Katie hits up Jim Dickens for some pennies. She tells him what it's for. He says, "Well, I usually give to Noah's Bark," and he's got this, this poopy look on his face, and he basically declines. Gail gives him grief about it, and then gives him his drink. He asks what the damage is, and she says $2 for highballs, but today for $1.99. He gives him gives her the toonie. And then he says she can keep the tip. Her tip is his favorite part.
And he gets mad about that. He's like pure aggro.
Anyway, then Gail yells at the bar that it's going to be $1.99 highballs until midnight. And then as Bonnie yelled exactly the same, to get after it. Gail also tells Katie that she's got to change the charity name because, not so many folks either care about animal rescue or Don Cherry for different reasons. So they come up with different ideas to, give different charity names to pull on heartstrings differently as needed. So we go to the first door that Wayne knocks on, and and they focus on it comes right in, and it's focused on some cleavage.
They try very hard not to focus on the cleavage.
They pan back to this woman saying good morning to Wayne, and he reciprocates but doesn't look at her in the eye. Neither do Dan and Derry. They're just kind of looking up there, and she notices this and says,
It's my chest, isn't it?
Sorry?
My chest? Just picked it up from a garage sale. Real conversation piece.
Mm-hmm.
Same with my jugs.
What's that?
My grandpa makes moonshine, which those are perfect for. Can you imagine my grandpa and his buddies sucking on these jugs?
No.
How are you now?
Good news.
Are you two staring at my girls?
No. Oh, look at you, Seelin. What's up? You is.
Look, I got some questions for you.
I got some answers.
You ever seen any of those Naked Gun movies?
No.
No. Okay. Hot Shots.
Strike two.
Is that right? Okay. Well, how do you feel about pet rescue?
How do you feel about these puppies? Just rescued these tits a few weeks ago. Give them a little kiss.
The tits?
What else?
Well, I'd better not. Say, I'm collecting so that more tits get homes.
What's the charity called?
You ever hear of the United Wayne?
Cute.
Well, I'm just kidding around. It's actually Don Cherry's Pet Rescue Foundation.
Good guy, that Don Cherry.
Oh, he's a great guy.
My papa loves him. Same last name, actually.
So, you would call him...
Papa Cherry.
Yes. Never seen Airplane. Airplane 2?
Strike three.
Oh, that's something. All right, well, before I head back to the dugout, can I grab your spare pennies real quick?
Yeah, I've got a couple big cans. A couple big cans that I use for bookends, but you can have them.
Okay.
Here. You know you'd have these tits in your hands sooner than later.
No, I didn't. But here they are.
So she leaves to go get her big cans of pennies, and hands them, and she comes back, hands them to Dan, and takes her tits back from Wayne. the little, I think they're little miniature schnauzers or something, and then
I thought they were like little terrier breeds.
Yeah, well, they were they kind of. I mean, I was thinking they were schnauzers just because of the way they were fringy like that around the head. So I'm not sure if that's exactly what they were. They were tiny though. But anyway, she she has to get her girls out to tell them goodbye so they wouldn't be rude. Then the boys were just all a bit flummoxed there at the end and about the whole thing. And Wayne has to have a chug from Derry's beer real quick. And then from there we cut back to Modine's. Katie has her paint cans out on the table with her in the middle of the bar while with the folks dropping in their spare pennies and thanking her. She's thanking them for giving them to her, whatever fake charity name she comes up with at the time, UNICEF, and I can't remember all the other ones, but UNICEF was the one that stuck in my mind there. Then Gail comes up to ask how the girls, the girls quote from the scene in the where Wayne went to the door with the girl with the cans. They walk into Modine's. She tries to hit them up. They just basically ignore her. So when Gail comes up to ask how things are going, she says, going well with the dudes, just not with the girls. And Gail suggests that she do something special for the ladies, which gives Katie the idea to call Riley and Jonesy to come help out, which she does. Then cut to the next door, which is Coach's house. Wayne knocks on a door. The door, the sign on the door says, "Home is where the barb is." So the coach answers the door. They have that friendly fake neighborhood banter. Look what the cat dragged in, better than what the cat coughed up. And so that fake small talk crap that you do.
This actually, discussing that scene was my first introduction to the phrase Minnesota nice. And you know what? Having listened to Garrison Keillor for like 20 some odd years, yeah, that fits.
Yep. I understand that. So anyway, Coach answers the door. They have that little friendly neighborhood banter. Wayne tells him that he's looking for pennies for the United Wayne. So he says, "Can I get your pennies real quick?" So Coach says he goes and gets his jar of pennies that he's been collecting, and then he gives them to Wayne. And then so Wayne and takes off with Derry and Dan. They're both kind of commiserating about the horrendous small talk that you have to do when you go meet neighbors. And then and Coach closed the door and with this weird look on his face and saying, telling Barb that it was no one, and then he would come draw her a bath.
Yeah.
So when he closed the door.
Oh, we are talking about that later.
Oh yeah,
we are
I'm
talking about that later.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
So we cut back to Modine's. Riley and Jonesy show up to help Katie out. She gives them instructions to go get pennies from the ladies, however they can do it. Katie then gets back to panhandling for pennies from everyone else. Back to then we get to McMurray's. This is the third door for Wayne. Starts a small talk with McMurray and how he's doing, and McMurray says if he were any better, they'd take him off OHIP. Wayne halts the small talk. He says, "I just can't do this." He asks and just immediately asks him for his pennies real quick. He agrees, and there's more banter until, like he usually does, McMurray makes it weird. So then, McMurray always makes it weird. So, yeah, Modine's again. Riley and Jonesy go hit up the girls from the cans door earlier for money with their fake charity, Doctors Without Boards, because doctors just never have time to play hockey, and so they want to make sure that happens. The girls, they don't care. They just want them to take their shirts off, and they'll give them pennies for that. So they strip their shirts off, and more women show up, and they're just starting to drop pennies on them. Then back to Wayne. He's out on the ground right in front of Tyson and Joy Boy's house, and just yells out, "Real quick!" And then Tyson and Joy Boy come out with pillowcases of pennies.
They live in a duplex right next to each other. That's so sweet.
Yeah.
They're totally a couple, and you cannot tell me otherwise.
I mean, I feel like they're, if we're going to go the couple angle, I feel like they're like Tim Burton and Helena Bonham Carter. They know they can't live together. They love each other, but they know they can't live together. So they live next door to each other.
All right, then. So then there's this whole montage of Derry and Daryl emptying the pennies and Katie collecting at Modine's. Wayne is still doing his door-to-doors. The ladies at the bar still throwing pennies at Riley and Jonesy. So we end up back at the kitchen, and Derry and Dan have put all of Wayne's collection so far on the table. Wayne decides he needs to continue because he knows how smart Katie is. And then he heads right over to the skids. Stuart, he tells the skids what he's doing. Stuart scoffs at the idea of Don Cherry charity because Don Cherry is a barbarian. Rold chimes in that he's always been collecting pennies his whole life, and he shows Wayne his load. Rold says he'll give them to Wayne in trade for some handyman work, with innuendos, of course. Wayne agrees. We cut back to Modine's. Katie's cans of pennies are on the table, and she looks down and very proud. And then basically at that point asks Riley and Jonesy for a lift home with the cans. Back to the kitchen. Katie has shown up and looks at Wayne's haul and sees how big it is, and then congratulates him. And she looks disappointed and walks off upstairs. Wayne gets this frown on his face and is very confused, and then decides he needs to go do something. So he's back at the skids. Wayne asked Rold about what needs to be recalked. Caulked. So they go through that whole
thing is just mint.
It's all this is such an innuendo episode. So Rold says he'll show him to the bathroom. So back finally again at the kitchen. Derry and Dan are counting Wayne's pennies as Katie comes downstairs to find that her haul has grown just a bit. And she's just kind of incredulous at the whole thing. but Katie doesn't argue and decides to help with the count with that Wayne says he's Derry and Dan can quit counting because Katie has obviously won. Katie doesn't argue, and she ends up sitting down to help roll the pennies. The scene ends with a graphic to donate to Don Cherry's Pet Rescue, which is doncherrypetrescue.org, and that's it. That's the end of it. So before we get into the thoughts, theories, trivia, observations, etc., I was thinking that we would have our own little mashup creations.
You mean you challenged us?
I did. Well, I wanted to make it seem like it was spur of the moment to add some.
I have said many times on the show that I'm not very good at spur of the moment, so I'm just going to be. I'm going to be fair.
To be fair.
To be fair.
To be fair.
To be fair. It would have worked either way. So,
yeah, whatever.
Anyway,
I'm pretty proud of mine now, though.
All right. So,
that I wouldn't have been proud of if I had done it off the top of my head.
So awesome. Since as being that you're our guest, we'll have you go first.
Okay. So I watched some really weird, obscure shit, so I apologize.
That's okay.
The first one I came up with was Land of the Lost in Space.
Nice.
Good one.
Not obscure to us at all.
On a trip, a small family falls through a waterfall and finds themselves transported to a spaceship. Yeah.
Oh, you
came up with a I didn't even do that. I don't have a synopsis of all of these. That's too much brain power for a Sunday when I haven't worked in too long.
Oh, don't worry about it. I didn't do it for all of them, just the ones I knew really well. Then I came up with Red Green Acres.
Nice.
Nice. Excellent.
Gotta, keep on that Canadian theme.
Sure.
Then I did Midsummer Murders, She Wrote.
Nice.
Because I watch a lot of murder. And then I came up with some bonus ones that are a little more out there. Dancing with the Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Like?
Hercules, the legendary journey to the land before time.
Aww.
The Tomorrow People's Choice Awards.
All right.
Like not a lot of people watch the Tomorrow People. That one's pretty niche.
Over my head.
Oh no! A bunch of kids with psychic powers like control people's minds to get their favorite TV shows. PCA.
I like it.
That'll work. Yeah.
All right.
There you go.
All right.
All right.
Very good. What do you got, T?
I've got The Walking Dead files.
Nice.
The Simpsons of Anarchy.
Oh shit!
Yep.
Mama's Family Guy.
I hate
Family Guy. I hate it. It's terrible, but it fit too well.
Yeah.
That does fit very well. I have to give you props for that.
I've got more terrible ones. Don't worry. CSI Miami Vice.
I have Miami Vice Principals.
Nice. All right.
Oh.
Firefly Way Home.
Nice.
And then my favorite that I came up with, Tiger King of Queens.
Oh.
And as a bonus, there was one on Reddit that I just needed to do because it was so great. Are you afraid of the Darkwing Duck?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that one wins.
Right?
All right. So my first one is a Canadian one.
Okay.
It's a Canadian mashup. Do South Park.
Clever.
The Addams Family Ties.
Yeah.
Full House of Cards. Lock and Key and Peel.
Oh, I tried to come up with one for Lock and Key.
Yes.
I tried so hard to think of a name of a show with Key in it.
Big Love, Death and Robots. One Tree Hill Street Blues. And here's my big one. The Man in the High Castle Rockford Files.
Oh, That's fucking beautiful. That's that triple double axle thingy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're all making the noise that Wayne makes when he's like,
yeah.
that is a sex noise.
Yes, it is.
That is the noise he makes during sex.
That is the noise I make both during sex and when I really like a bad joke. Oh, yeah.
T.
Yeah.
What is a bear's favorite kind of cheese?
What?
Come on, bear. Come on, bear.
I like that one.
Yeah.
One of Dean's
I
favorite
have a
things.
lot of Christmas cracker jokes.
Nice. One of Dean's favorite things to do is when I'm making a grumpy face, he'll make a completely ridiculous joke and I'll like snort laugh. And he's like, my job is done.
My work is done here.
I mean, that is kind of your job as a spouse.
That's true. It is very true. So I have one piece of trivia that I was going to drop in right now, and that was just when McMurray references OHIP, which is the Ontario's health services. So it's basically their own province's health plan. So that's
it's the province health plan, yeah.
Right. So that's what I'm throwing out there right now. So you guys.
Well, I've got a little. I don't know if it would be considered trivia, but I just think that it it doesn't really have anything to do with the story more than it's what my brain went, oh, that's a thing.
Yeah.
So when Wayne says he wants to practice his banter and stuff, that's absolutely the kind of thing that kids who do social skill learning and like speech language pathologists will work with kids and like tell them to go out in the world and practice their, these things. So it just like when Wayne said that, I imagine kids that I've had in social groups where like say before Halloween, we teach them how to do the like door to door and say the right thing and do the appropriate responses and stuff. And I can imagine little Wayne having those same social skill things. And that's why he's like, oh, I haven't practiced this in a while. I should go practice my banter. So I just love that.
There you go. I did have one.
Once again, Tiara and I share a brainwave.
Yes.
So I also want to point out the other thing that I noticed, and I had to point it out to Tiara because she didn't pick up on it. I'm pretty sure, Awesome, you've noticed this before. The handshake between Katie and Gail is from a little movie called The Parent Trap.
The second one.
The second one.
Lindsay Lohan.
The remake of The Parent Trap.
Yeah.
Which like I recognized
layers
it
on
when I first
layers.
saw it, but right, exactly. I recognized it when I first saw it, but I didn't know where I knew it from.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's just so cute that they did that whole. And then you're like, you know where that's from, right? What? No. You mean a movie that I saw 30 years ago? Totally.
You remembered
Somehow it sticks in the brain.
You remembered Stefan Urkel from 30 years ago.
I remembered Stefan Urkel because I was a teenager absolutely enjoying it. I was a little old for
Stefan Urkel was
Parent Trap.
more than 30 years ago. Just putting that out there.
Well, it's probably about the same.
Well, I'm 41, and I know that I was a preteen to teenager when it was on. And Parent Trap came out when I was already a higher teenager, so it was one that I saw, but not one that I cared about.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Lindsay
so
Lohan's
my
like 5
bit of
years
trivia.
All right.
Yeah. My bit of trivia is that they mentioned Scott Conn because of the Hawaii Five-0 remake.
Right.
Jared Keeso starred with Scott Conn in a movie called Beginner's Guide to Endings that also had Harvey Keitel in it.
Oh,
Okay.
And it's really funny. And Jared Keeso's character is an amateur boxer who's trying to make it big, and he is a fucking idiot. And he's gorgeous, and it's so fucking funny. He like talks shit to his speed bag while he's practicing in the backyard. Calls him a squirrely little fucker. And like his character's name is Juicebox, but his brothers all call him Juicy, which sends me just to no end.
Yeah. I don't know if I would refer to, I'm not saying queso isn't pretty, but I wouldn't refer to him as juicy.
Have you looked at his arse in this last series?
I'm sure that
boy is juicy.
Right?
Squirrely Dan is juicy.
No, Squirrely Dan is squishy. Any person who finds a male body attractive, a like athletic male body attractive, would say that was juicy.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm not like, hugely into like muscly guys, but I'm really into butts.
From series 6, Wayne's arse got an upgrade. He went from being like fit to being thick.
Did he do a movie or something in that time somewhere?
I'm not aware.
No, I don't know. I think he just like upped his squats quota or something.
I think probably because he's also in this, because in this season there's a bit more hockey with Shorzy. So
True.
Maybe he had to,
Okay.
He had to work out a bit more.
He's not been skipping leg day because his thighs filled out a lot too.
Seriously.
Please crush me between those thighs.
Yeah.
Like, let me get my face down there. Let's go.
Right? No matter if God, I can't even put words together on what I wanted to say there. Yeah. You and I are the same. Like butts and thighs. Oh, fuck.
Butts and thighs and butts and thighs.
You got nice thighs. You got nice thighs. I tell you that. I tell you that. He got quiet real quick.
Taking a sip.
Mm-hmm.
Let me have a sip of that.
Oh.
Anyway, so where are we?
What you got there, Austin?
We're just doing trivia.
All right.
Okay, so observations.
Yes.
First of all, the spaghetti western music kills me. That is hilarious. And then Katie just like making faces at Wayne to try and intimidate him and put him off his stroke. That's so fucking funny.
Her little curtsy is cute.
Oh yeah, the sarcastic curtsy is amazing. And then like their previous entries for like last year or whatever, Bone Alone, hilarious. Great shout out to the Three Wise Men special.
What was the other one? What was the one that Wayne failed on?
Fiddler on the Rough.
Right.
I need that. Give it to me from the bottom of my Jewish dog-loving soul. I want to see Jared Kizo holding up Gus's little arms and Gus having like a fake beard and a vest on like Tevye and shaking his tits back and forth on tradition.
What is it? If
I need it.
There's no integrity if there's no tradition.
Like 2020, you have been a shit of a year so far. Give me this one thing.
It's like the 30 Rock with Liz. Says, this has been a hell of a year, and Alec Baldwin goes,
"It's Monday.
It's March."
Yeah,
yeah. No, that is the hashtag mood, as the kids say. And then the other one he lost at was the Halloween costume competition. Katie wore a KD Lang costume, and then Wayne went as Wayne's Trains and Automobiles, which number A, that movie is fucking hilarious.
Agreed.
And number B, he says, "You really kicked my caboose."
and a little shout out to shout out to John Candy for the Wayne's Trains and Automobiles in that as well.
Absolutely. Now, like Wayne is addicted to puns. He literally cannot help himself.
Yeah.
He just absolutely can't.
This whole show, this entire show is built on plays on words.
Yes.
It is an homage to like all the Leslie Nielsen and Peter Sellers movies.
I love that they brought them up finally, because I've been thinking that for a long time. Like some of the stuff they do is very Airplane and very
when he
Hot Shots.
Yeah, he's
Strike Due. Because there's Hot Shots Part Due.
Part Due. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. I don't have the whatever.
No, and like you can tell what has been an influence on him by the things that he writes.
Yeah.
I fully believe that JTZ has the full run of Monty Python's Flying Circus on his shelves at home.
Oh, yeah, we do too.
We have it too. Actually, we've lent it out to someone. So we'll have to go get it back.
I have digital copies. But yeah, no. And then like he goes on, he's like the architect of your demise. He can't help it. It's a compulsion.
It is. So as an autistic person, how would that have happened exactly? Do you think? You two who are more knowledgeable than I.
Honestly, I think he saw it on CBC and he was like, yes, that. And then immediately, because it's a special interest, capital letters and all, he's just like, I need to have this in my life. So he went out and he got DVDs however the fuck he could.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all right.
I mean, think think about me with DVDs when we still had DVDs. How many DVDs did we have?
Lots.
How many is lots?
We probably had, well, if I was to guess the number, I would say at least 100.
Oh, more than that.
Well, that's why I said at least.
Oh, yeah.
movies were always a special interest.
The hundreds.
Yeah.
Same with me.
Yeah.
I've you know me in quoting movies. So.
I know, right? That's another thing that you do that makes me crack up all the time.
So yeah, that's.
Oh
Yeah, totally my jam. So.
So.
Go ahead.
One last note on this like little intro scene.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, Katie's idea of a threat is bedroom eyes. What the fuck? Secondly, when she says, "Who's a good boy?" and then he growls a little bit and then does that boof. I bet you $1 that's Jared's impression of Gus.
Yeah.
That's totally his impression of his dog.
I can see that.
We do impressions of our dogs too, so yeah, totally.
I've got voices for them.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't like anthropomorphize their pet and throw a voice on them?
All the time.
But yeah, no, it was just it was weirdly sexy the way she threatened him with that. And I was like, okay, all right, I'm into that. I can get behind that, yeah.
Maybe she knows that it makes him a little uncomfortable, and that's how you can get back at Wayne. Like she doesn't have anything she can hold over him, but she can make him uncomfortable.
Right? Yeah. Because his whole reaction to the girls with the cans, was very. Not only it was very reminiscent of the Dicks.
Yes.
Noah Dick.
Yes, with the dick jokes and like being uncomfortable with them, but also still kind of playing along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was. I wonder if how did Katie end up being so free about that, and Wayne gets so reserved? I mean, autism, but how did that work? And because she's obviously always felt free to do that, and in front of Wayne, why? I mean, why so different?
Well, I can say for my own experience that I didn't become like Katie until I fully embraced all of the fucking weirdness about myself. Mm-hmm. And once I was okay with that, I was okay being that.
Yeah.
But before that, you know, and I know that you can attest to this because you've watched me go from this person to who I am now.
Yeah.
I was desperately wanting to be an extrovert, but I wasn't because I didn't know how to, communicate with people very well, navigate social situations. Yeah. Without, alcohol. So I literally was always the awkward one in the room and always feeling like, well, if I don't say anything, then I'll be fine. Yeah. Or, don't laugh too loud because then they might think you're weird, or things like that. Being an adult with autism, it's very very self-reflective. Okay. When you are trying to navigate any social situation. Like the relationship that Wayne has with Katie is completely different than anything else. She knows exactly what buttons to push, and she's not afraid to push them.
Yeah.
But she never pushes them too hard. True. And, his friends are like, well, that's just who they are together. So, we don't call her out on it when she's picking on him. And, when he's pranking on her, we don't pick on him, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that Wayne just never has gotten to the point where he's comfortable in his own skin. And so he's uptight and tense about things that make him uncomfortable, that aren't what he expects.
All right.
For my money, I don't think either of them is wholly neurotypical.
True.
And first of all, you and I share so much of a brainwave. It's kind of ridiculous. But there's also, you were talking about don't laugh too loud and don't be too awkward and not knowing how to navigate social situations. And that vibes a lot with me as a person with ADHD and bipolar and rejection sensitive dysphoria.
Two of those things
Two
of those things you just mentioned are under the autism umbrella.
Yeah, and that's why there's a big conversation with, capital B, capital C, amongst mental health professionals about whether or not to include ADHD under the ASD umbrella. And so, like, having similar experiences, shall we say, I genuinely think that Katie is not above using Wayne's weaknesses in this way because she knows exactly how to leverage them to not hurt him.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's interesting because she is the way she is, because she is more open with her physicality. That is something that I have seen and experienced from both sides. Like, again, like Tiara, going from being somebody who is like on lockdown, like Wayne, always covered up, always holding back, to being somebody more like Katie, who is open and puts herself out there without fear. You can do both and be both.
Yep.
So
yeah, Katie definitely has things that are very rigid in her life too, and she reacts to the unknown and the unexpected in ways that I definitely could say could be neurodivergence. And there are plenty of anecdotal evidence showing that siblings, that it's higher if you have one child with autism, that you'll have another child. So having two siblings at different degrees of
different points on the spectrum.
Different. I don't even like that really. It's with different
processing things.
I'll come up with a good word for that eventually. I've been working on that one for years, one that doesn't feel putting down of anything.
Well, they're both in the Sunday bar, per our last conversation about autism. They're both like dipping from the Sunday bar, but they have completely different Sundays.
Absolutely. And Katie's probably has a lot more toppings.
Yeah,
definitely.
Wayne probably has a lot more ice cream, a lot more base. Yeah. Whereas she has a lot more of like me, a lot more of
She's got sprinkles.
Yeah. We'll go with that.
All right. So what else are we talking about?
Okay. Let's see. What do I have here? Okay. That next scene at Modine's, calling back to like the sexiness of Who's a Good Boy. Gail offers, I'd love to help you beat him off, and Katie's all unnecessary preposition.
Yep.
Hilarious. And then, of course, okay, let's talk about the Parent Trap handshake.
Yeah.
That is something that takes practice and coordination and what's the choreography?
Yeah.
So Katie said in Valentine's Day, right, that half these dipshits were in my grade 2 class. Does that include Gail?
I don't know. I mean, obviously Gail's been around for a while because I think
Gail is older.
I
think, that was my initial impression as well, but you don't choreograph a handshake dance with somebody that you are like,
yeah, you're right,
that close to,
and probably didn't choreograph it when you were much younger.
Yeah.
People don't tend to do that kind of behavior as adults.
You would have been a tween.
Yeah.
At least, if not younger.
Yeah. I'm thinking like 9 or 10. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense. What else?
Back at the kitchen table, when Wayne is having his little confab to get a game plan with Derry and Dan, that clap gesture that he does where he claps his hand together and then spreads his arms open wide. We've seen that before, and that was in the date episode with Tana, series 5, episode 2, the old college try.
It's like when he's drawing attention.
Yeah, he's like about to say something momentous. And he's like, look, this is my signal. He's very clearly signaling. It's very deliberate.
That's it. That's his 1, 2, 3 eyes on me.
Yeah, that's like his, okay, I'm done. I've made the decision. Now let's do the thing.
Exactly. And then, okay, let's talk some about Katie at the bar with Jim.
Jim Dickens. Gotta love Dickskin.
Dickens.
Dickens. So, like, Jim is, like, really aggro with Katie. And for no reason. Like, why?
I'm wondering if it's become slim pickings for Jim Dickens.
Oh. Also,
Like,
who only leaves a
seriously.
penny for a tip?
Somebody who's, like, really so tight they fucking squeak. That's why. But, no, the whole conversation between Jim and Gail, where she's like, the tip's my favorite part. That's insane.
Right.
He's really mad about that.
And Gail obviously just wants to fuck him. Like,
Gail wants to climb that man like a fucking ladder.
I mean, that's a phrase that Grace used to say, was climb him like a telephone pole.
I want to get his Aaron Taylor Johnson, his Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Which great shout out to the previous episodes, right? And then Bonnie, her behavior in this episode, Gail has clearly been like teaching her some life lessons and rubbing off on her in the way that she deals with people. Yep. I mean, it's so funny to me to watch Bonnie get like aggro
I love that.
With the patrons.
Fuck.
And then poor Katie Cat, who's just like on that bar stool by herself, just fucking starting every time.
Yeah, she's flinching at each one of them. It's
like a gunshot going off right next to her.
Even at the Bonnie's at the back of the fucking at the back of the place,
screaming over.
And she's still flinching at the ones back there.
Oh yeah, no, like Bonnie is like fully yelling at the top of her lungs. Yeah. She is not trifling even a little bit.
True. she's just, I'm all in on this.
Yep.
Absolutely. Okay, and then we get to Wayne talking with Mrs. J. Burton, who, by the way, that's who that is. That is Mrs. Tyson right there. They own a sandwich shop in Sudbury.
Nice.
That's how they got on the show.
All right, then.
She's hot.
She is smoking hot. But they also, so I want to like, okay, all the shout outs to the movies and everything, hilarious. Mm-hmm. Wayne makes more facial expressions in this 1 3-minute scene than he does in the entire series.
Yeah.
Like, his face is actually mobile for once. He is making different expressions. Like the one she asks, are you looking at my jugs? And he gets this look on his face that's just like pure panic. Like you can actually see his eyes.
Yeah, it's my chest, isn't it?
And then he's like, oh fuck, oh shit.
Couldn't you just picture my grandpa and my uncle sucking on these jugs?
No. No.
No, and then like she goes over to him to put the puppies in his hands, and he deliberately squints up at the ceiling and looks at it suspiciously. Like he's very obviously avoiding, like he's like signaling intentionally, I am not doing the creep thing. I am trying very hard, and you are not making it easy.
It's my chest, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Are you looking at my girls? Yes. Yes, I am. Yes.
In every way imaginable.
No, it's so funny to me. And then no, when she asks her, you looking at my girls, and Dan looks up and Gary looks down and Wayne looks at the both of them like, how fucking dare you?
Right?
He's like, are you being shits? I will hit you.
Oh, hey, ceiling.
Oh, hey, Ceiling, what are you up to? Oh, being up there.
And then, okay, so at the end, when Derry says, when Wayne says, Derry, give me your bill real quick, that is the same fucking move as when he pulled that beer out of nowhere in the barn after talking to Tanis in Great Day for Thunder Bay.
Yep.
Like, and you know he felt it because he had been pushing up on him all fucking series, and he was getting like, oh my God. He's like, I'm getting to where this is sounding like a good idea.
Well, and
he's like, this is tempting, and I need to deal with that.
Right.
And I love when Derry hands the beer over, he's got a big smile on his face. And in my head, I'm thinking Derry knows that Wayne is really turned on and trying to fight it. But it also could just be that what's his name? Nathan Dales was like, you're not laughing. You know, like, I can imagine that.
I genuinely think that Nathan Dales was like trying really hard not to corpse.
And then what? So after that, we're at Modine's again.
We're at Modine's again. Oh, and Gail calls Katie Pretty Kitty. I thought that was like A, fucking cute, and B, that is clearly something that Gail has been using to hit on Katie for like a long ass time.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
And then so then she calls Riley and Jonesy.
Yep.
And she is like really short with them. She's really bossy and, not to put too fine a point on it, but kind of bitchy.
Yeah.
You know, just get the fuck over here. Why are we talking about this? I told you to do something. Fucking do it.
That's twice. Yeah. First it's stat to get over here, and then it's the next one is when she tells them to go over and get pennies from the girl. He's like, why? Why are you? Is this 5W? Go get them.
Do as you're told.
Right.
Like, okay, big dumb vibes off Katie.
Always.
And like, okay.
Yeah.
So you know that Katie has given both of them the strap.
Oh yeah.
Like, that's canon at this point, I feel.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if I would say specifically that she's given them the strap, but I feel like in her I feel like she's a little toppy, a little dommy.
Oh yeah.
And especially with those two, she was always the one in charge. So I think that's their natural pattern with her now, that she's the top and they follow along.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, so Katie is the keeper of the brain cell for the Hicks and the Hockey Boys, and even on occasion the Skids. So, like, honestly, Katie has always been the smartest person in the room since she was a toddler, and she fucking knows it, and it shows.
She is the brain cell wrangler.
Oh, yeah. Because they all share one. Unless there's a competition, in which case then it's Dan's turn to hold it, as we all saw in the Spelling Bee episode. Let's talk about Coach for a second.
Oh,
yes.
My God.
Coach does not only have issues, he's got subscriptions.
Coach needs a little mental health check-in.
Coach is a fake-ass, lying, snake-ass bitch.
You think so?
All right. Oh, absolutely. Because number one, all that fakey Minnesota nice bullshit to Wayne. Like, the minute Wayne walks away, he's like, he's so full of shit, his eyes are brown. Number A, Wayne's eyes are blue, motherfucker. Number B, your eyes are brown, so look in a mirror.
I have an ex that used to say that to me because my eyes are brown.
So
oh my God, I'm gonna fight your ex.
so
life did that for you. It's okay.
So you don't think that Barb ever existed?
No. Here's what I think.
Okay.
Coach gives off huge galaxy brain Norman Bates vibes.
Oh yeah.
She did exist. She was his wife. He killed her. He's keeping her dusty corpse somewhere inside that flat.
Yeah,
oh my God.
The sign, home is where the Barb is. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, I would not be surprised at all if Barb's body was dehydrating in that house somewhere.
Well, what if Barb is still alive, but he won't let her go out in public anymore, so he made up the story so nobody wonders why she's not there. But I mean, she's still at the house where I gotta go run a bath for Barb. Like, I don't know.
Well, but that was to himself. Because he tells everybody else. He tells everybody else. Yeah, but. Yeah. But
I know
he has got like the blank, vacant-eyed stare of a multiple murderer.
As soon as Wayne says I could complain, but who'd listen? His switch just like that. He's like,
oh,
Barb would
instantaneous.
So yeah, and then when Wayne
we ever get to talk to him, are you playing him like a serial killer?
So yeah, when Wayne brings it back around, he's just like he changes his channel back to small talk.
Yeah,
and
like you can see, he like physically has to shake it off.
Right.
So yeah, Coach is a fucking serial killer, kids. and okay, so like this series dropped on 11 October. And I literally stayed up all night and mainlined it from like 1 a.m. Pacific time to like 4 a.m. And after that, after watching this episode in particular, I was like, Coach is a serial killer. Happy Halloween, motherfuckers. I could not sleep after that. Like, no.
Yeah, I was just thinking you could do a Coach cosplay and carry around a skeleton with you or something.
Right? Like a little, like a mummy, like a rubber mummy in a night dress.
Yeah.
Who's that? Oh, that's Barb.
Barb.
That's Barb.
Or if you didn't, you can go non-serial killer way where he's just carrying around an urn that says Barb on it.
Yeah.
All right. What else we got after Coach?
Back at Modine's, Riley and Jonesy are trying to get pennies out of the ladies.
Yep.
And they ask them to take their tarps off. Mm-hmm. And then, like, they both have this, like, moment where they look at each other. And I cannot tell if they're pleased or very displeased to be objectified like that. Like, clearly, they are very into the concept of flirting with ladies. That's fine. Mm-hmm. Having the conversation, flirting back and forth, that's one thing. But being objectified, that maybe hits a little wrong for them.
Yeah. You can tell the awkwardness feeling on their faces. And that, but I mean, even it's an awkward smile that they're putting forward. It's just like we know we're doing this for Katie and we're just going to do it and we'll power through it. So.
Yeah, but they're like not pleased about being objectified. And this is like honest to God character development, boys. Because this is so different from like even last series in series 6. They were fine. I guess maybe not series 6, series 5. Let's go series 5. They were fine with being objectified at that point, and now they're not. So, like, that's growth.
Yeah. I mean, I
think they're uncomfortable. I don't think they're not fine with it. I think there's something in the back of their head saying this doesn't feel right, and so they're in this moment starting to go, maybe this isn't okay to be objectified.
Yeah, well, because I think it starts back with the Shamrockettes, right? Of them having girls. I mean, women, and then finally coming around to that, and that's that's they practiced that and worked with these women, and until and then realized. I think that's kind of where they were starting to do the math. And
so like it's really filtering through now. And
so
I see that.
And so I think and like I've been saying, season 7 is kind of a recap of everything. So I think a lot of this plays into that and how the boys have been objectifying the puck bunnies, and what a snipe and all that kind of stuff, how that has been going on, and now they're kind of. Not
only are they not getting the attention that they used to because they're not on a team, but they're starting to see things from the point of view of the other girls.
Okay.
In the McMurray scene, I love that McMurray almost gets the greeting right. He's so close to getting it right, and Wayne's like, "It's all good, we're gonna do it." And the inane pitter patter or patter. What do you call it?
Patois.
Banter.
Banter is the word that they have going back and forth. It doesn't feel as forced as it does with pretty much everybody else when he's trying to have that conversation. And then, of course, he ruins it. And there's like right up until that point, Wayne was like, "Oh, I'm having a conversation, and it's a good conversation." And this feels, oh, there you go. Okay. So I just love that.
Wayne definitely.
Yeah, he
definitely tries to like impose some order on that conversation to make it go like his script says it should.
Right. Because it's for some, I don't know why. So your terms are acceptable, and McMurray says, "So are my sperms."
Right? And he's like, "God damn it, we were almost at the end of the conversation." Like you could almost see like Wayne's like crestfallen. Fuck, we almost got through an entire conversation without you making it weird. I've had that conversation. I'm usually on the ruiner. He is.
McMurray's a fucking ruiner.
Yep.
I'm starting to feel sorry for him, though. I have to admit, it's gotten to a point where I'm like, he needs social skill lessons.
Yeah, very much.
At the farmhouse, that last little bit there, Katie knows that she's lost, and she can see it. It's really apparent to her. And Wayne feels proud of himself because it's the first time he has ever beat her at one of these competitions.
Yeah.
And Katie is a very competitive person, right? And so he feels justified in teasing her a little bit, not in a mean way, but just like, yeah, haha, I finally did it. You know, he's proud of himself. And Katie congratulates him. And I truly believe that she means every word of what she says before she goes upstairs. And then that last little bit where she says, "It's your year. I'm really proud of you." And then she goes upstairs. That is when Wayne twigs to it that she is desperately unhappy because she is such a competitive person.
She was trying not to be a poopy pants in front of Wayne about the situation, but he could still see that something was wrong and really bothering her. And like that's why he had kind of that confused face, like, why is she? Oh, she's not happy. Like you could just see it on his face where he's like, why did that not go the way that I thought it was going to go? And then it like dawns on him. And
yeah, exactly. He says, "Well, I don't like that."
Yeah. I say that a lot.
And then, like, so Wayne goes back to the Skids' basement, right? And he knows that Rold is going to be staring at his arse the entire time.
Absolutely.
And even though it creeps him out and makes him feel uncomfortable, he is willing to subject himself to that.
Yeah. Just
so he can give Katie the mother load.
Yeah.
And she'll call him a good boy.
Yep.
Like that is the extent, not like the limit, but he is willing to put himself through that to make himself that uncomfortable. Just to make sure.
Yeah, one of the things that you could take away from this episode is objectification of the fellas, and purposely trying to not objectify the women,
right?
Where it's being thrown at them,
except for just the boobs, where they were like, "Are you objectifying me?" No, what? No. But when the men are getting objectified, it's like.
So it's I like how they do twists on that.
Yeah.
On those tropes.
Wayne has always been shown explicitly to be deeply, deeply uncomfortable with being objectified. Like that is his worst pet peeve, is being treated like an object and not a person. I don't think it matters who is doing it. Like if it had been Murray Fred creeping on him like that, it wouldn't have mattered. Or if it had been Tanis, he's not comfortable with being treated as something that's not a person.
Yeah.
But he's willing to do that, to subject himself to that, just to make Katie happy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's
And
I think,
I'm sorry. That is true love.
yeah.
Don't at me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think also it's like, I wonder if there's some, from an abandonment thought in his head about if I upset her, she might go away. So I have to do everything that I'm going to do everything.
And we still don't know what happened to his mom and dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know what happened. I mean, there's a lot of speculation.
Of course.
But it is true. It is true that Wayne does not have a lot of family.
Yep.
The most that we get is Uncle Eddie.
Right.
A couple passing mentions of their father. But all Wayne and Katie have really is each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that it's abandonment per se, like not actively.
Right. I mean, abandonment he's abandoned if they passed away when he was young, let's just say. And that's why he's got such an affinity for Uncle Eddie, is that maybe Uncle Eddie raised him. But he had such an affinity for him, but it's a feeling of abandonment. You are abandoned, whether it's purposefully or not, because when his parents died. Or, assuming that's
or whatever happened. Yeah.
No, I get that. I also think that maybe Katie is feeling like Wayne is moving forward in his life and she is kind of staying in the same place. And that might feel to her like they're moving in two different directions, which adds like a layer on her saying this is really your year, because this is the year that he got engaged.
True.
And as far as they know at that point, moving forward with that is going to be a big upset.
Yep. Yeah. They
so I'm wondering if maybe Katie's feeling more influence from that than is due.
Could be. Could very well be. I mean, Katie, we don't really get into Katie's psyche too much. So
not until recently, but that's spoilers.
True. Very true.
I have one more that I kind of wanted to point. Well, two more really. One, when you were going over the synopsis, you didn't talk about the scene in the church with Glenn.
Oh yeah.
And taking Glenn's load for the Lord.
In the church.
In the church,
in front
right
of the
here
angels.
in front of God and the angels. Will you take my load? That was such a good scene, and I always love those two in a scene together because Kiso is so good at that uncomfortableness, and
Jacob
Tierney is so good at that kind of like walking that fine line of grossness.
Yeah.
That it just makes, for me, the best parts of Letterkenny is when those two are on screen together. And then the other thing that I wanted to bring up was Stuart was starting to get a little jealous of Roald flirting with Wayne. And made Roald stop talking, even though Roald wasn't done. Now I can smell that you are. Like, kind of trying to insult him at the end there. Like, I can't believe you just did that right in front of me. Like, that's what it felt like to me. So I just wanted to point that out, because that was, to me, that showed that, Stuart, it isn't just I know that he follows me around because he's in love with me kind of thing. That there's definitely kind of a unresolved, ununderstood relationship there, maybe even between both of them, like amongst them.
Well, also you got to think that Stuart's still in love with Katie, and being that Wayne is the brother, he can't lose face in front of Wayne. That's what I think. That's
but
also.
I don't think that was losing face. It was Roald just doing sexual innuendos on things that Wayne could do to get the pennies. Yeah. It had nothing to do with Stuart. Yeah. Stuart did not like that Roald was flirting with Wayne, and wanted to put a stop to it. So that was just what I saw there.
Yeah. So let's do two more final thoughts from each. One final thought from each of you, or do you have anything else?
I don't have anything.
Okay.
The way they smile at each other at the end of the episode is like pure sweetness. I think I have fucking cavities. My final thought is, how well do we think this episode is going to age? What with like the pretty blatant idolization of Don Cherry, and especially all the things that happened right after this episode aired.
Well, I like how they were like, some people don't really like Don Cherry, so maybe change the name. And Wayne's like, sometimes he's saying it what it is, and sometimes it's the United Wayne.
Yeah. So, I think that they realize that, and this is kind of how they deal with it. Yeah. So it's the end result, like they said, at the end result, that all the aminals were gonna get the best out of it.
And I love Dan for saying aminals. That's just so fucking cute. I don't know, man. Like, so the reason Don Cherry got fired was basically just for being like a huge racist.
Yeah,
which I agree with. He is. I just and I respect that Jared Keeso has certain feelings about hockey as a sport as she is played, but I don't think this episode is going to age well. Possibly. Because they go out of their way to kind of put Cherry on a pedestal that he does not deserve.
Yeah, I think that it's because he's been around in it so long with his flamboyance and all that stuff that he gets so much recognition. So I agree, that, and I don't know if anything else is going to happen with that. I don't imagine him getting his job back. I think it's just easier at this point in time of the general wokeness of everybody that it's time to move forward. And while you can applaud the person for their actions with the athleticism of everything, because if you look at the athletes from prior years, there's a lot of fucking racism that has blatantly gone on. I'm not saying it's away at all, but there's still enough old guys around to pass that down. So it's I like the direction that we're heading. It feels like we're slowly getting better
if we can get through this apocalypse.
So how about we do something fun right now?
Yes, please. Yay!
How about a little
let's do that.
Fuck
right.
fight
How
Ferda.
many people is Tiara Ferda-ing today?
So as I like to say up top, this is our version of Fuck, Marry, Kill. We don't like to kill anyone, and we're not necessarily in any hurry to get married to anybody here. So we're gonna fuck them, or we're gonna fight them, or we'll be their buddies.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. So let's start off like we do with Wayne. Would you like to take Wayne's load?
Absolutely. Wait, no, hold on. I know Murray Fred does not appear in this episode, but are we considering them as a unit?
Well,
you mean like, are they a couple? Because a unit would be like Riley and Jonesy, but with this, we can say, if they were to ignore the rules of monogamy for a moment,
because we know how Wayne feels.
Yes,
but we can.
Wayne is definitely a one partner dude.
Yes, but let's just say we can say that for the instances of this game, that everyone was consenting.
Yeah, I like that too, because then I'm not qualifying every time that I do not have the parts that rolled once, but I still want rolled.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, I'm gonna say fuck.
All right.
Wayne cracked me up so much in this one. You know me, making me laugh is the way to my pants, and he cracked me up.
Yeah, with the too much fun thing, I definitely get like a heavy vibe that is something that Jared actually does when he's like this close to choking someone out. Like, he's at his threshold for what he can deal with, so he decides it's just too much fun.
Yep.
And I can vibe with that.
It's like, I was just watching Heather's the other day, and Veronica is like, yeah, you're beautiful, which means, God, you are a fucking asshole. Like, it's that kind of thing where it's like, you say something that sounds kind of nice, but really it means, I am so done with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, Derry.
Ferda. I can't off the top of my head really think of much that sticks out.
Yeah.
Dairy wise, this one.
Mm-hmm. Except he proposed who's the boss, so.
He did. That was clever.
I am definitely a very sexual being. So I'm gonna fuck Derry because, like, I always kind of low-key want to fuck Derry.
Okay.
And he didn't do anything specifically to turn me off in this episode, so yeah, it's a fuck.
All right.
Cool.
All right, cool. Miss Katie's.
Fuck.
I'd fuck Katie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd fuck Katie.
That doesn't happen too often, but
No, it doesn't.
yeah.
She's very
I know,
cute,
it's
and
a
she was trying to do the right
rarity for
thing, and the look on her face when she knew she was losing but didn't want to disappoint her brother was just like, I know that feeling so much, and I just wanted to, like, just kind of wanted to walk upstairs with her and hold her and make her feel better.
Yeah.
And go from there.
And I love that competitive drive that she has.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she is a very competitive person. And this kind of doubles down on that from the Spelling Bee episode. Like you were saying earlier, Dane, that we're rehashing certain points.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, she's very straightforward about this competition. She has a goal and she just straight goes for it. And I admire that.
Yeah. Daniel.
I'm always going to Ferda Dan.
You're always going to Ferda Dan?
Yeah, I am always going to Ferda Dan.
I think I'm like how you were with Derry. I think I would always fuck Dan unless he did something that, like,
pissed you off.
Yeah, just made me feel gross or something. Yeah. So, and he doesn't really do anything in this one to, like...
So fuck?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Why not?
Good for you.
Yeah.
As the Bible says, let your fuck be fuck.
No, it does not, but okay.
This is my translation. Glenn.
I mean, he hasn't done anything that makes me want to fight him except for making Wayne uncomfortable.
I'm gonna say Ferda because I have been friends with so many beautiful, lovely gay people who tended to hyperfixate on not gay people, and I know that experience myself too. So yeah, I feel like Glenn really needs a friend to help him find somebody who's more appropriate to obsess about, because Wayne's never gonna go there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, like, even if, as I think, Wayne is bi, he's never gonna be into Glenn. Because Glenn is just way too aggressive with that, and that makes him way too uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always 50-50 on whether to fight or Ferda Glenn. So, I mean, given that you've already said Ferda, I'm going to fight him because he knows at this point that what he's doing is going to make Wayne uncomfortable. He knows that. He has to know that. He needs a short, sharp shock up the back of the head.
I like that.
What about...
You can thank Pink Floyd.
What about Jim Dickens?
I will fuck Jim.
You know, yeah, he needs to get laid, and I volunteer as tribute.
All right.
For my sister, I will climb him like a telephone pole. I will do that for you.
I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie, lads. He dead ass looks like my husband, so that's a fuck.
All right. Yeah, totally.
All right, then. Stuart.
I'm always down to smack the fuck out of Stuart.
Yeah.
But that being said, he was a total bro to Wayne and bailed him out in the basement situation. I'll Ferda him.
All right.
Yeah, I'm a Ferda.
Okay. Roldy.
Fuck. What? Roldy needs to get laid.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Like, no qualifications on that one.
Desperately needs to get laid.
Right. No qualifications on that. I find him an adorable little ball of something, and I would fuck him.
Manic Pixie Dream Twink.
Exactly. No, Rold is thirsty as fuck, and I'd peg him.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Gaylor. Gale Force.
I'm always down to fuck Gale.
Ferda on this one. Nothing's really like jumping.
All right. Bonnie McMurray then.
Same. She's very Gale in this
Ferda.
episode.
Okay.
I'm always for Bonnie because she is so much younger, and I am not okay with it.
Yeah.
She has definitely gotten grown up.
She's now a grown up,
Yeah.
but that doesn't make her
No.
like
No,
anyone under the age of 30 is like 12 to me. So
I'm just happy that they've grown her character.
yes, me too. I'm really happy that she's not just the pretty thing that everyone's like
Just not only that, just being the fawning little teen.
Yeah. No, I'm pleased with the way that she is starting to because Gale is a very self-assured character. That is something that I'm glad that Bonnie has decided to emulate.
Yeah.
But she is still way the fuck too young. So for now.
yeah.
All right, McMurray.
He was so close to getting it.
He was so close. He needs that social skills training.
Yeah.
Ferda. Yes.
Riley and Jonesy.
Ferda. They're going to have a lot of feelings they need to work through after realizing they did not like what was happening.
Yeah. I'm definitely Ferda, Riley, and Jonesy.
And the last, the girls.
Well, it's kind of hurt because, like, Julia Burton's cute and shit, but I really wish that I knew her friends' names. Like, I have a problem with fucking people who I don't know their names.
And these are the gym babes, right? Yeah. So
No, they're different than the gym babes.
oh, because I know her from, she's been in another episode. I thought she was in the gym at one point.
No, these are like completely different babes than we've ever seen before.
Okay.
And they're not the ones.
Because I feel like
but if Wayne's going around to friends and neighbors that he knows,
yeah,
I feel like they have to have
but
been
they
in
were
something
at
before.
her house.
Yeah.
They're not at his house.
Right.
But her,
So
who
like
is the
they're
her?
her friends.
But how does Wayne know her?
Wayne knows her because fuck. Okay, so this is hard to just because she's Jay Burton's wife.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why she got a part in this.
Right.
But
she is definitely a gym babe, but she is not the only gym babe. There are like 6 gym babes.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I mean, but that's kind of where, before this, that's where I know her from, is from the gym.
She says her name is Mia Sophia. And then the gym babes in the next series are Bianca and Allie. So that's not her.
Well, Mia,
we have
Mia, so because Mia Sophia was the last episode.
Yeah, was a nut.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, regardless, are you fucking Ferda or fighting?
I'll Ferda because they're hot, but they haven't.
Yeah, Ferda.
All
I
right.
don't. Yeah,
Okay.
there's no substance to their character yet, and I don't. You know me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Very rarely am I going to fuck without substance.
That's
There you go.
That's I didn't put Tyson and Joy because they didn't talk at all in this episode. They only brought out their bags of pennies.
Inside.
Yeah. I don't.
Still so cute.
I don't think there's anybody else that I missed.
No, I don't think so.
No, I think that's
Unless
it.
you mean the other skids, but
Yeah. Well, they don't say anything.
I don't say anything. When Rolled hisses at the one that was behind the curtain, though, we
Darian.
didn't mention that when we were talking. That was so. I love that scene. That little part where he opens it and it's like, oh my god! I was like, I fucking love Rolled. God damn it. Okay. All right.
So yeah, I in the end, I think this is a lot of rehashing.
Yeah.
Of prior season. Tropes,
it's a lot of showing
snippets
the
from
bonds between them, the traditions that they carry,
So-
and why they're important.
Right. So big catch up season. So that's what I'm seeing so far here. So I with a mix of new. So it's kind of like the premise at the top is that you can't just do the same things with the old characters. You got to change it up. So so that's what a lot of this is.
I think that was probably a very deliberate, like, hey, pay attention to this because this is what we're doing.
Exactly.
We're going to rehash some themes that you really haven't been getting. We want to make sure that you're getting.
Right. Yeah, for the old folks and then for the new folks who haven't, maybe they're going to start now. So, and we can start them right here. This will be a good starter episode. Kind of like our recap episodes. You don't have to necessarily listen to each one individually. If you listen to our end of season recaps, you can get a good jump on things and then jump back in with us. And if you want to go back and re-listen, fine.
As many times as you want.
So, yes, you must subscribe.
You want to hear me be a complete weirdo and idiot? Woo!
You've reached the platinum age of podcasting. You must subscribe.
Can we do that with the Hard Right J episode? Because I feel like there are way too many people on fucking Reddit who did not get the fucking point.
Fuck, right?
Yeah. How many Hard Right Jays think that they're Wayne?
Mm-hmm.
So.
I feel like that's a recurring thing right there. That
Totally.
Thinking, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, have you guys seen that JPEG of like the guy on the rocket with like the point and the circle and says, "This is you," and then the guy on the rocket going overhead? Yeah.
Missed the point. Yep.
Entirely.
Right.
Like ballistically missed the point.
And by the way, if you're out there making memes and putting like guns in the hands of Letterkenny characters and things like that,
You're
stop
fucking
it.
wrong.
Stop it. You're a fucking American, and I know that because you're the only fucking people that would do that, because everyone else in the world does not worship them the way that you do. Stop it. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
That was my final
I'm
thought.
not, but okay, I'll take the clue.
But that was my final thought.
What sort of fucking backwards pageantry is that?
Right?
Exactly.
That's what Wayne would say. So any other final thoughts before we sign off? Are we good? Are we good here?
I'm good.
I think we're good.
All right.
Good boy.
Good. That's a good boy.
Good boy.
All right. So
You're a good boy.
So we will see you next week with W's Talk Baby with our this will be our second time with Jake Whitco from WrestleThon.
Cool.
He'll be on there. So you DJs, take care of yourself, wash your hands, stay the fuck home, and we'll see you next week.
Wash your fucking hands.
Stay safe. We love you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of How Are You Now? We want to give a huge shout out to our good friend and longtime compatriot, Awesome, for joining us today. We also want to give a shout out to Finding Freedom, who has this has been their second time on the program now, and we love their music. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, and on YouTube. You can also reach their website at www.officialfindingfreedom.com. They are from Greenville, South Carolina. So big shout out to them. And we, like I said, we'll see you guys next week for our next episode. Take care now.
Whatever.